week's episode of the Android Apps Weekly Show is brought to you by Asnog. Hello again, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Joe Hindy, the Android Authority App Guy, and welcome back to the Android Apps Weekly Show. This is episode number 144. Let's get started. Netflix has announced that they plan on clamping down on proxy and VPN access in the wake of becoming a worldwide presence. The idea is to keep people from viewing content that isn't supported or supposed to be available in their region. It sucks, but here's hoping that region restrictions are a short-term problem. The change should be going out in the coming weeks. After a very long wait, Google Play has finally introduced promo codes for developers. Now devs can send people promo codes to their applications to give it to them for free. The codes will work on upfront prices and in-app purchases, but not for subscriptions. They are also limited to giving away only 500 per quarter or about 2,000 per year. Lenovo reps stated in a recent article that Google Play services are returning to China sometime in 2016. This is a huge deal because there are a ton of Android users in China, and the hope is that Google can unify the application ecosystem and stabilize their operating system in that country. Stay tuned, because if this is true, things are going to get really interesting. Google also released a master list of 154 tips that should help people use Google services better than they could before. The list includes voice commands, Chromecast tips, and more information that spans 20 Google applications and services, and even Android itself. Even the pros should take a look at this just to see if there's anything that they didn't already know. Apple Music announced that they have hit 10 million paying subscribers in just 6 months. That's a ridiculous amount of people signing up for the service, and it no doubt has other streaming services shaking in their boots. For some context, it took Spotify 6 years to hit the same milestone, and we're not entirely sure Google Play Music All Access has that many at all. For even more Android apps and games news, updates, and releases, don't forget to check out this week's newsletter, which is linked in the video description below. There are a metric ton of things that we didn't get to this time around if you want to see the rest of it. If you want, you can also subscribe to the newsletter using the form in the written companion, which is also linked in the video description below, and we'll send it to your inbox every single Sunday. Okay folks, let's take a look at the apps and games that made a big splash this week. As usual, if you want to check any of those apps or games out, you can find those links in the video description below. I Have No Mouth is a port of the classic 1995 PC game of the same name. It is a point-and-click adventure game with some text-based RPG elements that has you playing as 5 characters who are being eternally tortured by a supercomputer that has enslaved the world. As you can imagine, the storyline is quite dark and graphic. There is an option to use touch controls or on-screen controls, graphic settings, alternate endings, and a lot more. Best of all, there are no in-app purchases. SKRWT is a photo manipulation tool that boasts a lot of functionality. The idea behind the application is to correct issues like lens distortion, change aspect ratios, and vignette correction. However, you can get creative and warp photos into unique abstract images that you can then post just about anywhere. It's mostly useful for serious photographers who need to get lens correction done, and there are a ton of features available. It's 99 cents, which isn't a bad price. Pocket Mortys is the hyped up Pokemon parody based around Adult Swim's hit show Rick and Morty. You control Rick, and you must battle your Morty against other Ricks with their Mortys, much like you battle Pokemon against other trainers. There is a story about how the Mortys are being separated from their Ricks, and it features a ton of the game's usual quirkiness and fun phrases. It's a fun game, so pick it up, beat up some Mortys, earn some schmeckles, and get schwifty. Facebook Mentions was released earlier this week, and this is an application that none of you will probably use. It's meant for the popular, rich, famous, and otherwise celebrity or celebrity-adjacent crowd to help better manage their fan pages. You can post live videos, reply to fans, and post updates on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram simultaneously. I would have tried it out, but it turns out I'm not even celebrity adjacent, so, oh well. The Room 3 will likely be the most popular and highly rated paid game of 2016. It had large shoes to fill because the Room 1 and 2 were amazing games. So far, it appears as though the Room 3 has matched and surpassed the prior titles in almost every way. It keeps to its core mechanic with clever puzzles and amazing graphics, but also adds in expanded environments, a new eyepiece to help find clues, and even alternate endings. It also comes with Google Play Games achievements and cloud saves. It's $4.99 with no in-app purchases. This week's Android Apps Weekly is sponsored by Asnog. Asnog is a calling service that boasts the ability to make free phone calls to any Asnog user and, get this, any landline free of charge. During our testing, Asnog did precisely that, and all 10 phone calls we placed went through. through. That means the recipient of the phone call didn't have to have ASNOG installed, and it worked pretty well. This is in stark contrast to a lot of applications such as Skype or Viber where you must pay money to call landlines. On top of this useful functionality, the application maintains a simple, functional, and good-looking interface rooted in material design. It's a fun little application, it's entirely free, and it seems to work pretty well. For more information, you can also check out their official website. Give it a shot and show your support for the Android Apps Weekly Show. Once again, I'm Joe Hindy, the Android Authority app guy. While you're here, why not subscribe to the Android Authority YouTube channel? If you're hanging out for a minute, we have a couple of awesome videos for you to watch right over there, and they're also linked up in the video description below for you folks on mobile. Finally, don't forget to check out the written companion, which is in the video description below, because that is where you go to sign up for that newsletter. As always, thanks for watching, everybody, and have a wonderful day.